made to contractors from the 2.4 trillion naira recently released by the federal government. On the foreign scene, treason trial of South Sudan's suspended first vice president, Riek Machar, begins under tight security in the capital, Juba. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Okbayamuni. The Osun State chapter of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria has commenced fresh industrial action over unresolved issues concerning staff welfare and delayed promotion. The strike directive was earlier issued by the Osun Judiciary chairman, Comrade Idris Adeniro, on Friday, September 19, in a communique released after an extraordinary congress of the union. Osun Judiciary alleged that the State's Judicial Service Commission, headed by the state's Chief Judge, Justice Oyebola Adekunle-Ojo, has failed to engage with the union despite previous correspondence and an ultimatum. In a joint statement made available on Monday and signed by its chairman, Comrade Idris Adeniro, and Secretary Olani Olatunji, industrial action, which takes effect from Monday, will involve the complete withdrawal of services for all judiciary staff across the state. The judiciary workers had embarked on a strike that lasted more than 3 months between 2023 and 2024, which was suspended following a tripartite memorandum of agreement. The union in the statement explained that efforts to resolve the current dispute have been frustrated, while a visit to the premises of the State High Court, Osogbo, showed that it was under lock and key. The Federal High Court in Abuja has scheduled September 29 to hear a motion filed by the Osun State government challenging the court's jurisdiction in a case concerning withheld local government funds. At Monday's sitting, counsel to the state, Musibao Adetumbi, argued that the case should be transferred back to the Osogbo division since the Federal High Court's vacation period ended on September 16. Adetumbi premised the application on two points, stating that the fiat granted by the Attorney General of the Federation permitting the matter to be heard in Abuja during the vacation had lapsed. He also said the letter assigning Justice Emeka Nwite to undo the case was irregular, as it was purportedly signed by an individual identified only as personal assistant to the personal assistant of a chief judge. He maintained that the court must resolve the validity of the letter before hearing the substantive suit. In opposition, counsel for the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Muritala Abdul-Rashid, and for the Accountant General of the Federation, Tajuddin Oladoja, described the application as a delay tactic. They argued that with the tenure of the All Progressives Congress, APC local government chairman and councillors set to expire on October 22, any further delay could render the matter academic. After considering submissions, Justice Nwite adjourned to September 29 to hear the state's jurisdictional objection alongside other preliminary issues before proceeding to the substantive claim. Staying with legal matters, the planned commencement of trial in the cybercrime charges brought against suspended Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan before the Federal High Court in Abuja was stalled on Monday following an objection raised by counsel Eyoge West Idahosa. Akpoti-Uduaghan is facing a 6-count charge brought under the Cybercrimes Prevention Amendment Act 2024 brought against her by the federal government. Akpoti-Uduaghan, who was arraigned on June 30 and granted bail on self-recognition, is alleged to have transmitted false and injurious information via electronic means with the intention of maligning, inciting, endangering lives, and breaching public order. The charge filed by the Director of Public Prosecution of the Federation, Mohammed Abubakar, stated that while addressing a gathering on April 4, 2025 in Ihima, Kogi State, she alleged that the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, instructed former Governor Yahaya Bello to have her killed in Kogi State. She was alleged to have repeated the same claim during a television interview, asserting that the Senate President and the former Governor of Kogi State plotted to kill her in the state. Moving on, some analysts have argued that state capture has been the main ailment plaguing Nigeria's quest for free, fair, credible elections and a true democracy. While speaking as a guest on Western Spring Television's Morning Spring on Monday, the Director General Heritage Center, Kach Ononuju, argued that state capture is the reason why the electoral system is faulty in Nigeria, as private interests, especially those of the ruling party, usually control the independent electoral bodies in African states. This statement was corroborated by an elite historian, Boyega Adejumo, who explained that Nigeria has a very unproductive electoral system, silencing the voice of the electorate. These claims come on the heels of former President Goodluck Jonathan's speech in Ghana, where he claimed electoral manipulation remains the most pertinent threat to democracy in Africa.
Yes, you destroy INEC. And the governor knows very well they could destroy INEC and bring the destroyed INEC to come there and seize the state. So he's playing politely. That strategies of state capture is gripped the coercive instruments that you need to perpetuate yourself electorally. The election done by INEC are no more done by an independent electoral body. No, it is now done by a body that is owned by the political party in power. And that political party will now listen to suggestions from its members on how to further do a total grab of the electoral system. And that's why you're seeing what we are.
The abdication of the ruling class and to allow the youths to move forward. The ruling class, they are very, very stubborn. They are very self-willed. Our political leaders, our educated elite, our ruling class are insatiable. They don't ever want to leave this. We only have to look at the words of this sage and scribe, who has written all the books, who has laid it out to say that the only thing that can work when you have all of the different kind of people brought together is to go for federalism, true federalism. What we have in Nigeria today is a unitary system.
Africa is already making progress because you now have a brand new young generation that seeks Africa to be run in a different way. And I do commend and also support the drive by the young Africans to have an inclusive African. And I think nobody's going to stop.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives and Chairman of the House Committee on Constitution Review, Benjamin Kalu, has clarified that the ongoing Constitution Review bills before the National Assembly remain proposals reflecting the aspirations of Nigerians, not enacted laws. Speaking on Monday at the National Public Hearing on the amendment of the 1999 Constitution, Kalu stressed that the proposals embody the demands, hopes, and memoranda of the people rather than the legislature's agenda. He noted that the challenges of the 21st century require a constitution that serves as a dynamic blueprint for the future, one that is both legal and legitimate, commanding the respect of all citizens by reflecting their values, rights, and expectations. Kalu added that the committee has embarked on the most comprehensive consultative review in Nigeria's democratic history, considering 87 proposed amendment bills. He said the proposals are structured around building a modern, functional, and just society. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives on Monday charged the Accountant General of the Federation, Shamseldin Ogunjimi, to produce a comprehensive breakdown of all payments made to contractors from the 2.4 trillion naira recently released by the federal government for project execution across the country. This followed confirmation by officials from the Office of the Accountant General that disbursements totaling 2.4 trillion naira have been given out to various contractors executing projects for the federal government. Lawmakers, however, insisted that the funds must translate into projects that Nigerians can see, touch, and benefit from, warning contractors against the fraudulent practice of brandishing certificates of completion for jobs that exist only on paper. The warning was issued by Deputy Speaker of the House and Chairman of the Ad hoc Committee on Budget Implementation, Benjamin Kalu, after a heated session with leaders of the Association of Indigenous Contractors of Nigeria. Diverse reactions have trailed the new policy by the Osun State government banning non-reusable textbooks, amongst others. The reactions come as 2025-2026 school session commenced today. Lydia Adegbaju completes the story.
It was all joy and excitement as students resumed school on Monday. A journey around the capital city showed students alighting from their rides, excitedly reuniting with old friends. Excited Esther Adebayo is happy to resume to a new class in a new school, while Wisdom Afolabi is just glad that the long holiday is over.
I feel happy for being back this morning. Yes, this is my first time to come to this school.
After such a long time, I feel great resuming back to school because I was already bored at home already. I also wanted to be where plenty of people were. At home, being at home I actually loved it in the first place because school was already so tiring and stressful. But after a long time, I felt like I need to resume back to school.
There were similar emotions inside the school as students rushed into their classrooms to resume learning. Unlike the known practice of cleaning school environment on first day of resumption, learning would commence immediately, according to Mrs. Elizabeth Ogunyemi, principal of Atauja School of Science, Oshogbo, while her counterpart, Olori Kikelomo Agbola of CAC Grammar School, Araromi, says revision of previous topics is first on the list.
They are very, very happy. Even we are starting our effective teaching and learning right from this morning. So, and they are fully prepared. They are with their notes and their bags and their notes.
Learning is going to start today. Revision of last time's work. But tomorrow, full classroom lessons will start.
However, today's resumption is coming in the wake of a new policy by the Osun State government banning non-reusable textbooks. According to a statement from the Ministry of Education, schools are to henceforth use textbooks for a period of 3 years. This directive has brought smiles and respite to parents like Mr. Dennis Omoyele, who is already burdened with tuition fees, while Mrs. Abigail Adeyemo said the exorbitant textbook fees will now cater for tuitions.
Those textbooks is costly from the parents, even those people that bear 4 children or 3 children and they are going to the same school, which is what it will not help parents to able to buy another book if they are using different book, because the amount of the textbook even is costly than the school fees, and it will help the parents. Instead of buying another book, they will use it to pay their school fees.
Ìjọba ìgbésẹ̀ tó dáa tó wà òkè gan ni, so mo appreciate ẹ̀ gan, ó wà òkè fún àwọn òbí so that ó tún máa keep owó tí òbí wọn máa ná time to time.
But the reverse is the case for Mr. Paul Oduwoye, a school proprietor who sees the policy as a way of shutting down a system generating revenues for schools. He also opined that implementing this would have a ricochet effect on parents' pockets in the long run.
Private school is an institute, an enterprise, a business. And what we are all after is to make gain. And in that case, schools, we always find a way of generating revenue internally. But now, we now have OSME approval, we have nursery approval, we now have primary approval before secondary approval. Before it was 2, now we are now having 4. So meaning that presently now, for schools to generate their income, they must create a system that will bring in more money so that they can pay the government pay renewal for those categories. And parents that are normally paying 19,000 naira and buy a textbook of 18,000 naira or 20,000 naira, we now have to pay 100,000 naira for school fees and 12,000 naira for maths and English.
Although Osun State is not the first to ban non-reusable textbooks, with others like Ondo, Imo, Benue and Anambra leading the trail, it is now left to be seen how effective this new policy would be, alongside the ban that has also been placed on graduation ceremonies for nursery and middle schools. Lydia Adegbaju, Western Spring Television News.
To security, operatives of the Rivers State Police Command have arrested 3 suspected kidnappers who allegedly killed one of the victims after collecting 6.9 million naira ransom. The command's police public relations officer, Grace Iringa Koko, identified the suspects as Azan Mohammed of Wandiga Town, Mandagali, Borno State, Bello Abubakar of Runabout Maura, Sokoto State, and Yusuf Ahmed of Azari Local Government, Bauchi State. He said the arrest followed an investigation into the abduction of Humphrey Wagbara of Iguruta Atali. According to the PPRO, the suspects also kidnapped one Mercy Chinyere on September 12, 2025, at the same location where they also collected a ransom of 3.5 million naira before releasing her. Iringa Koko said during interrogation, the suspects voluntarily confessed to their involvement in multiple kidnappings in the state. You're watching News at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, Nigerian Correctional Service foils attempt to sneak illicit substances into the Kuje Custodial Center. We'll bring you more on this when we return.